Let's get the perspective now of one of the key figures attending COP. Lord Adair Turner chairs the Energy Transitions Commission, a global coalition of major power companies, investors, NGOs and experts working to limit global warming. What does he hope will be achieved at COP?
Well, one thing I hope will be achieved is that we put clearly on the table the issue of the rundown of the use of all fossil fuels, not just coal, but also oil and gas. And Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, the president of COP, said yesterday, all issues, including the future of fossil fuels, has to be on the table. And the reason why I say this is that I don't think there's any way we are going to limit climate change by getting to net zero emissions by mid-century unless we very significantly reduce the use of fossil fuels. Any idea that we can get there primarily by continuing to use fossil fuels but offsetting that with carbon capture and storage or removals, that is a delusion. It's incredible and implausible. Yes, there is a role for carbon capture and storage, but the really heavy lifting has to be done by large reductions in fossil fuel use. And at the ETC, we believe that we should be aiming for something like a 55 to 70% reduction in gas use by 2050, 85 to 90% reduction in coal use, and somewhere between an 85 and a 90% reduction in the use of oil. And if we don't get those commitments, I think we're really not taking this seriously. Now, here at COP, I don't think we'll get a debate about those specific issues, those specific figures, but what I do think is we need the principle that the only way we're going to limit climate change is to have a significant and rapid reduction in the use of fossil fuels.
Well, the private planes, the private jets are stacked up there. Apparently this is one of the biggest carbon footprints of any COP. Do you understand the skeptics who might suggest this is simply a talking shop?
Yes, I do. And by the way, I think the private planes thing is a real problem. It's a real problem of perception. And here's what I would recommend for all future COPs. I think they should say that anybody arriving on a private jet is only allowed to attend the COP if they can produce certifiable proof that that jet was using sustainable aviation fuel, and if not, to pay a tax equal to the difference between the cost of sustainable aviation fuel and conventional fuel, with all that money to go into a fund to help decarbonisation in lower-income countries. I do think the rich of the world have got to start walking the talk. They've got to actually start living up to the principles that they say. They say they want to deal with climate change. You can't do that and come in by private jet to a major climate conference on anything other than new, sustainable, zero-carbon aviation fuel.